Okay, good morning. It's Sunday, August 26th.
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 23rd on Friday.
It's Parshas Ki Seitzei. And we're going to, maybe we'll make this a Sunday thing, where for those that have never learned Gemara, give them a little introduction to what Gemara is all about, and the methods that are used in coming up with different laws, and how the rabbis debate with each other, and ultimately we try to come to a conclusion. We're learning right now Mishnah Berurah. We're learning the halachas of Krishma and davening and that kind of stuff, and now the Daf Yomi, the daily page that we learned that takes 2,711 days to complete. We just completed it on August 2nd, just a few short weeks ago. And we started with the first tractate. There are 63 tractates in the Talmud. And the first one is called Brachos, which means blessings. And we're going to go through this in a rather abridged way, because our time is only limited, especially since we're only doing a half hour a day,
Sure.
or rather a half hour a week. So, first of all, we know we have the written law, which is the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. We know we have the oral law. What is the oral law? Well, the oral law begins with the Talmud. Okay, and we call this Talmud Bavli. There are 2 Talmuds. There's Talmud Bavli, which is the Babylonian Talmud, and we have Talmud Yerushalmi, which is the Jerusalem Talmud. In the school systems throughout the world, we teach the Talmud Bavli. And there is a reason for that, which I'm not going to get into right now. Suffice it to say that there is enough in Talmud Bavli that if you lived 1,000,000 years and you learned 24 hours a day, you couldn't cover everything that's in it, everything that's been written on it. Like I said, maybe the first day we held classes over here, that there is the Talmud, which begins with the Mishnah. The Mishnah is a short version of the laws, and then comes the Gemara, which is a commentary on the Mishnah. And without the Gemara, you couldn't understand the Mishnah really. Just like without Rashi, you couldn't understand the Torah. The Torah says sometimes something, and we really wouldn't know what it is. The classic example that I always give is, it says that you have to circumcise your son on the 8th day. What does that mean? If you opened up a book, morning, if you opened up a book and it says on the 8th day you should circumcise him, it doesn't say where.
Right.
And how.
Big toe.
Right. And exactly, there are millions of laws. I'm not sure if I'm even exaggerating with that would apply to doing the circumcision. But we know all these things because of the written law, and followed by the oral law, and the commentaries on the oral law, and the commentaries on the commentaries, and the commentaries on those commentaries.
And the commentaries on those commentaries.
Yes.
Now, I have a question for you, Mendy.
Yeah.
This tractate here, is this from the Torah?
This is the oral law.
This is the oral law. Okay.
And the oral law was not supposed to be written, but they wrote it because people would forget it.
Right.
Initially, all these things, everything that's in those books over there, the oral law was initially oral.
Right.
And then they organized it in a way, and they wrote it down so that through, as the generations go on, they shouldn't forget it. So, if you will notice that in every one of these tractates, the first, like I said, starts with the Mishnah, and then there's a large Gimel and Mem, which stands short for Gemara. Gemara, now it starts the commentary on the Mishnah. Now, after a while, you will come to, let's see if I can put, after a while, when the Gemara finishes, now we have a new Mishnah. Now there's a large letters that say over here, it actually stands for Masnisim. which is just an Aramaic way of saying Mishnah. So that's the Mishnah. Now comes a new Mishnah, and now comes a new set of Gemara on top of that. And on each side of the Gemara, we now refer to Gemara as everything, even though it encompasses the Mishnah, but we refer to it as the Gemara. And on the Gemara, there's always, on the right side is always Rashi, and on the left side is always a commentary, another commentary, many times arguing with Rashi, even though it's his grandson in most cases, and he gives his own commentary. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't agree. And if you learn the Gemara and the Rashi, and this is called the Tosfos, literally Tosfos means an addition. So if you learn this, you pretty much have 90% of what you need in general as far as learning in life. You know, everything else is just resolving differences and hardships and stuff which is not really clarified as well.
Right.
So you'll notice that there are other commentaries on the side. These commentaries make sometimes small corrections within these commentaries. Very rarely do they disagree. It's very hard to disagree with Rashi. Rashi was just an unbelievable.
He makes wine too. It's unbelievable.
They make wine. There used to be a singing group called Rashi and the Rishonim. It's interesting. Rashi is actually now a name that they give for women.
Really?
Yes, but also for men. Rashi is just an abbreviation for either Reb Shlomo Yitzchaki. Means his name was Shlomo. His father's name was Yitzchak. When they add a yud at the end, they make it the son of Yitzchak. So Shlomo Yitzchaki, or it stands for Rabban Shel Yisrael. He was the rabbi, the master of all the Jews. Without Rashi, it would be unbelievable. It's like you can't envision today living without a cell phone.
Right.
You know, without Rashi, you couldn't open you open up the portion of the week you start reading, it wouldn't make any sense. You need it. Okay. So all the tractates together is called Shas. And we just had the Sima Shas, which completed all the tractates, all 2,711 pages. Okay. Now, the book that I'm going to be using is published by ArtScroll, and it's something that I think came out 20 years ago, something like that. And what they did was they took the Hebrew page and then they went through it and explained it in English, and then explained their explanations with additional notes. Now, since it's too much, so you'll notice the same page has it a few times. You see? It's the same page. Like this particular page has it 3 times.
Right.
Now the gray area is what's explained on this side in English. Then you move over, the gray area moves down. You see it?
Right.
And now this part is explained in English. And sometimes it's 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 pages in Hebrew requires, 1 page in Hebrew requires 7 pages in English to really understand it. Now I'm going to go through one little part of the actual Gemara and its explanation.
Listen while you continue?
Yes, you may.
Yeah,
Yes, you may.
Won't say a word.
Okay, no, you can say whatever you want. This is a very interactive, and anything you want to ask, and correct, please correct, because I'm by no means an expert in any of these things, so please correct. So the first tractate is called Brachos. Now let me just say this about Brachos. When you say Baruch Ata Hashem, what does Baruch mean?
Praise.
Most people don't know what it means.
Praise.
It means praise. Most people think it means blessed. Blessed are you, Hashem. Hashem does not need our blessing. It doesn't do anything for him. And it's almost a little presumptuous for us to think that we can bless Hashem. Hashem blesses us, and Hashem has blessed us with many things. And what we're doing is actually praising Hashem. Baruch means praised are you, Hashem, who did the following. We're going to make bracha soon on praised are you, Hashem, for giving sight, for giving strength, for getting us up in the morning and that we're still here. So that's what Baruch means. So when we make a bracha on something, on a fruit, and we make or a glass of water, we're praising and thanking Hashem for the ability to have this so that we can enjoy it. Why do we have to do that? So the Gemara later on, again, I'm going to interchange the word Gemara and Talmud, and all these words are interchangeable. The Gemara later on will say that everything belongs to God. So what right do we have? Morning, Ted.
Good morning.
What right do we have to eat it?
Good morning.
So the answer is that we have a right. Once we say the bracha over it, that's when we now have the right to eat it, and it's not considered like stealing from God. Otherwise, it would be considered like stealing from God. So even though this tractate, Masechta, try to remember that word, Masechta. Masechta means tractate. Even it's called brachas, which means praising. Or now we're loosely going to use the word blessing. That we make a blessing. We're not.
You're blessing what you're getting from Hashem.
Right. It's not really a blessing, but we're going to use the word blessing anyway because it just makes it easier. We don't. Some say we actually bless the food.
That's what I. That's what I was.
So I'm not sure about that. Now, even though the tractate is called brachas, which talks about the various blessings that we make on whether it's food or occasions or holidays or if we see something, there's so many different types of things that we are required and we should say a bracha for. Nevertheless, it doesn't start with those laws. It starts with the laws of saying Krishma. Krishma is something which almost everybody knows. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, followed by the verse which we say silently, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam Vod, which in almost every aspect has the same holiness and the same restrictions as the first pasuk, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. Those six words are very, very holy, and there are rules that we spoke about that you cannot be interrupted while you're saying it. Most of the times, the rules apply to that secondary blessing phrase right afterwards. Now,
Talking about the first paragraph?
Actually, the first sentence.
Oh.
The first sentence. It's very important to say this twice a day. Most people say it's a biblical law. We have laws which are biblical, and we have laws which are rabbinical. Mm-hmm. We're all familiar with the number 613. We know that there's 613 commandments broken down by 248 positive, 365 negative, but there are many, many more, and they were given to us by the rabbis, and they're the rabbinical laws, and they are just as important, because one of the 613 laws is that we have to follow the rabbis. So now, automatically, everything they say...
It's a blanket law.
It's a blanket law. It covers everything, so there's no out. It's interesting that we're going to be talking about two different things in the beginning. We're going to be talking about to say Krishma, to say the paragraph of Shema Yisrael followed by V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha. That's one paragraph. It's comprised of three paragraphs. The first one is Shema. The second one is V'hoyim Shemoah. The first one talks to you personally. The second one talks to the group. It's in the plural. And then there's the parsha which has to do with the tzitzit, which is the third one. So we're going to. That's called saying Krishma. Then there is the tefillah that you have to daven, which almost in every case when it says the word tefillah, it's referring to the Shmona Esrei. Mm-hmm. The 18 blessings, really 19. They added one. those blessings comprised together is called the Shmona Esra, and that is rabbinical. Now, here's something very interesting. We have to pray 3 times a day, and that is even though it's rabbinical, not everywhere. Some people say it is biblical as well, but most people are under the impression that the first 2 is a requirement, and the Mariv, the last one, is optional. It's not optional. It's just important. The reason we say it's optional, because when it was initially established, they had it that way. But today, in our times, it's absolutely required. And even though it's rabbinical, in this particular case, and almost in no other case, there is a phrase that whoever doesn't daven Ma'ariv is he transgresses a rabbinical law, and he's chayiv misa. The punishment is death. And they ask a question, why by this one? Any place else it doesn't say that. Why by davening Ma'ariv? Why does it add that it's punishable by death? And the answer that's given by the Gra, the Vilna Gaon, is because most people are tired at the end of the day. And they use that as an excuse why I'm not going to daven. I'm tired, I had a busy day, and I just want to unwind. What?
I did mincha.
I did the first 2. I learned. I was good to my wife, everything. So most people are lax about that. So in order to make sure that you're not going to be lax, it tells you that if you're not going to do it, it's punishable by death. Then the Vilna Gaon adds something. What about if somebody has a job? He has a business. What should he do? Can he use that as an excuse? That, I'm busy. I have to make a living. Because earning a living is a mitzvah also. You got to provide for your family.
Maybe a temporary stopgap.
So he specifically says that, I'll read it to you word by word, which I was really shocked to.
Is this from the Mishnah?
This is from the Mishnah. I'll read you exactly. I hope I find it. So he's
Bruce, go over there. What? Over there, there's a tefillin by the taluses.
So he specifically says that even though making a living is important, that can never be an excuse for skipping davening. He actually talks also about coming to shul, because later on we're going to learn that the only place, even though we don't really hold by that, but the only place where your prayers are going to be answered is if you do it in a shul.
Really?
But we can't. We don't actually go by that. And of course, you